if you look at a popcorn bag that says smart food on it, you would think that might be something good to eat. I mean, we're all kind of conditioned, even with this superfood movement that's happening, to find foods that are going to help us make us smarter and improve our longevity and nourish our families.
You are listening to Turn Your Soul On Radio. I am your host and visionary doctor, Dr. Brandy Victory, and my mission is to assist high-achieving women in closing the gap between feeling unfulfilled to living a life on fire. It is time, ladies, to champion our own lives and turn ourselves on. This is Living Victoriously, ladies. This is how you turn your soul on.
Hey, Dr. Brandy here. How you doing? I hope you're great. I am coming at you today with a little bit of a different twist on raising our vibration. I know that's what we usually talk about, and we still will keep the same theme, but I'm going to be discussing with you how to raise your vibration with food. So, recently I posted a Facebook post about smart food popcorn. And it's raised some questions from my audience. People have been asking me questions about why I said some of the ingredients in that food were not as healthy as we would like. And, I know it's kind of confusing because in our society today, all the labeling and the pretty words that they put on the packaging kind of is confusing. I mean, if you look at a popcorn bag that says smart food on it, you would think that might be something good to eat. I mean, we're all kind of conditioned, even with this superfood movement that's happening, to find foods that are going to help us make us smarter and improve our longevity and nourish our families, and all that's up for us right now. So I'm just going to bust open a few things about that product so you can be clear about why or why not you might want to be eating that food or not eating that food. All right. Okay. So smart food popcorn comes in this really beautiful green bag, and it just looks really pretty. And I picked up the bag because it said the flavor was spicy jalapeno ranch, and that's everything I love. And so I thought, wow, it's really uncommon to see something with those kinds of flavors that don't have crap in the ingredients. And so I turned over the bag and took a look at it. Now, I will tell you, I get caught off guard so easily about this stuff because I look at smart food too, and I think, oh yeah, this is the healthy kind, and I just put it in the basket and I go on about my business until I eat it and I feel like shit. And so then I'm like, oh crap, what was in that? And I go back and look, and I'm sure you've been caught in the same trap, as I turn the bag over, I look and I see that the first ingredient is popcorn, great. The second ingredient is vegetable oil, and that's either corn, canola, and or safflower oil. And it may be sunflower oil, I'm not sure. But either way, those are all toxic elements. Those are all vegetable oils, and those vegetable oils, I know it's kind of, you would think, oh wow, this vegetable oil is made with vegetables, it should be good, right? No, I'm sorry, it's not. So what's happened is they take these seeds and these legumes, and which are really tough to break into, and so they use chemicals to treat them to pull off the oil. And often that process of treatment is very stinky, and so they deodorize it to make the smell better. So you're not smelling stinky oils in your food, right? Because you wouldn't eat it. So you got chemical treatment and deodorizing treatment on these oils. And this processing not only is toxic, but it also creates an unstable oil. So what that means is that they can easily become oxidized and go rancid, and this becomes inflammatory to our bodies. Every single day I put my hands on people, I feel a chronic systemic inflammation in people's bodies. Not every single person, but every day for sure. I mean, more people than not have this chronic inflammatory condition that's systemic throughout their whole entire body. And so it causes a lot of things. It causes cellular damage when we have free radicals running around in the body. I mean, the first thing, it causes us to age. I mean, you can see it on your face when you have free radicals. And it can also lead to cancer. The other thing is these highly oxidized oils, they kill off your good gut bacteria. So you have good little bacteria that are in there helping you produce your neurotransmitters, which are brain balancing chemicals. They help your immune system function well. And you got to wonder if maybe all the autoimmunity that we see in our country and our world now is a result of the gut bacteria being depleted by things like genetically modified oils and oxidation and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's very clear to me that this is true, because when I have a patient that comes in who has an autoimmunity or has a gut disorder, when I clear up the gut disorder, the autoimmunity has a much easier time clearing up. Sometimes it takes more than just clearing up the gut, but boy, I can't get it there if they don't clear up the gut and reestablish the good gut bacteria that's going on in there. And I have to tell you, folks, this takes way more than just taking probiotics. I wish it was that easy. I would just put everybody on probiotics and the whole world would be great, but it's not that easy. We have to feed the good guys. We have to kill off the bad guys. We have to heal and seal the leaky gut. We have to restore the gut function. I mean, there is actually a lot to it. And, those little guys also help you trust your gut. So, many of us, especially us women, we're like, oh man, I can just feel it in my gut. I shouldn't do this. Or I feel it in my gut. They're lying to me. Or I feel it in my gut. Okay, I can tell my gut's telling me go left, not right, and you get home, right? And that's how it is. Like, our inner wisdom speaks to us, and our gut is a primary place where it resides. And those little bacteria are kind of like the antennae that help us receive those messages. So when the bacteria die off, it's kind of hard for you to receive those messages. So you come to a place where you're like, oh my God, I don't really trust myself. I don't know if this is the right decision. You get into a place of self-doubt. You get into a place of self-sabotage. You get into a place where it's just not feeling really great in your body. And maybe you're even getting digestive issues, inflammation, like in your hands, you're feeling them swell up. Maybe you're getting weight gain and you can't get rid of it. Who knows? There's so many other problems that can arise. The other big problem that arises from this kind of oxidation is cardiovascular stress. So the cardiovascular system will actually start to break down. And so when we get these micro traumas in the cardiovascular system, then cholesterol and calcium start to go to these little punctures, these little wounds in our cardiovascular system, and it plaques over them so that it kind of seals the cardiovascular system. That's what plaques are for. But we all know we don't want any plaques in our arteries, right? Because if one lets loose, we have a stroke. So this is part of the whole deal. So you gotta get off these vegetable oils, okay? Another thing that's important to consider when you're looking at vegetable oils is that they sometimes contain what we call trans fats. I mean, most of us have heard what a trans fat is, and it basically is it's a type of fat that forms when oils are hydrogenated. So if you look on your peanut butter, or if you look on like a Peter Pan or a Jiffy peanut butter, it'll say hydrogenated oil or hydrogenated vegetable oil. And so if it says hydrogenated, it is definitely got trans fats in it, okay? So this hydrogenation process allows the vegetable oils to harden. So for peanut butters that you don't stir, those might be hydrogenated, and they usually are hydrogenated oils. So you don't have to like stir your peanut butter when you first get it, all right? Because the peanut butter oil is solid at room temperature, okay? So this is also found in margarine, in things like Crisco. So you want to step away from that stuff, because trans fats are really hard on your cardiovascular system. They cause cancer, they cause diabetes and obesity. And the hard thing about it is when you look at a package and it says trans fat free, then you can't. This is the problem with eating packaged food. You can't really trust that it's trans fat free, because the law is that if it's 0.5 grams per serving or less, then they can label it trans fat free. So what you got to do is you got to look at the serving size and see if if it feels right for you. Because if the serving, likely you're not going to sit down and eat one serving of potato chips out of a bag of potato chips. That just probably doesn't happen in most people's lives. And so if there's a half gram in a serving and you sit down and you eat five servings, you've just got 2.5 grams of trans fat in your diet, but it doesn't have to be on the label. So, it's kind of tricky, but if you go for higher quality products, then you're going to have a better chance of not getting those hydrogenated fats. So, I personally go to places like Whole Foods, as you know, natural grocers, or the higher quality health food stores that have ingredients that are more conscious than not. And I'm not saying things don't get through in those stores either. They do. They absolutely do. But if you're kind of worried about that stuff, you probably should just start paying a little bit more for your food. That's just the reality of it. Okay. The other piece of the puzzle when it comes to vegetable oils is that they're very high in omega-6. Now, there's different types of fat, and the two primary fats that we talk about are omega-3s and omega-6s, and we want them in a ratio of 1-to-1. But in the way that our diet has shifted in this country, it may be as high as 20-to-1 right now, okay? And if there's too much omega-6, then it too is going to contribute to chronic inflammation. All right. And chronic inflammation, just to be clear, is the underlying factor in a lot of the most common diseases that we see in our country, like cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, arthritis, inflammatory bowel disease. All these things have this underlying factor of chronic inflammation, and omega-6s, too many omega-6s will contribute to that problem. So you may be wondering, well, great, what do you want me to do? How do I get around this stuff, right? So specifically, we were talking about the popcorn smart food, and that's in like that green bag. You may have even bought it before thinking it was healthy. I totally get caught on this stuff. It just pisses me off, honestly. I get so frustrated when I find out that I've bought something that's shitty because they've tricked me on the label, and I don't like being tricked. So I go out and I'm like, okay, well, if I'm not going to get the smart food popcorn, what can I buy? And there's so many options today. There really are, and every single day new products come out on the market and are just there for us to really imbibe and have these good foods that are quick and easy for us. Now, you know me, I really don't promote eating packaged foods and processed foods. However, come on, we want to live and have a little bit of freedom in our lives, then you're probably going to eat some packaged foods. You're not always going to cook your food every single time. Or if you want to go to a party, you might want to take something and you need to pick up something quick. You might pick up a bag of popcorn, or you might pick up some chips. There's a lot of great things out there that you can pick up that are healthy for you. You just have to read the label. And there's the other piece of that smart food is they also have maltodextrin in it. Maltodextrin is made, at least in this case, is made from corn, which again is a highly genetically modified and sprayed crop. And in the corns, the genetically modified problem with the corn is that they use this particular method that actually explodes the bellies of the bugs when they eat them, when it eats the corn. And, honestly, I feel like it's doing exactly the same things to ourselves, just on a smaller scale. Leaky gut is essentially perforations in the gut lining. So, if you're eating pesticides that are made to burst open the bellies of bugs, you might be bursting open and perforating your own gut with these foods. So, you probably want to stay away from genetically modified corn. Okay, let's get back to what we're going to do about that, right? So, you want to use higher quality oils. So if you're going to use, if you want to use an oil or look for something that has oils in it, you want to go with something like a fruit and nut oil, like olive oil or walnut oil, coconut oil, avocado oil. Like these things are actually pressed to extract the oil rather than using the caustic chemicals for processing the vegetable oils. So there's no chemicals in the extraction process of olive, walnut, coconut, avocado, those kinds of things. So you're way better off. And there's a company called Bootable, and they actually make a popcorn that's called Avocado-licious. So they're using avocado oil in it they're using Himalayan pink salt. And, when we're looking at salt, we definitely want to use sea salt as opposed to an iodized salt, in my opinion. And sea salt, when you use sea salt, you want to make sure that it's a colored sea salt. White sea salt is not really any better than iodized salt, honestly, because all the minerals have been extracted from it for whatever reason. And the pink or the gray or the purple, all of those colors are actually the minerals that are coloring the salt. So personally, if I'm buying salt, I go for one purchase I might buy the pink, and then the next time I might buy gray, and the next time I might buy like a darker color. I try to mix it up so I'm getting a variety of minerals in my diet. But here in the Bootable Avocadolicious popcorn, they're using pink Himalayan sea salt. And the reason why that's so important is because those minerals help your body assimilate nutrients and food and water. So, if I have patients all the time that I find that are dehydrated. I can feel it in their body. And ultimately, most people aren't drinking the amount of water. Most people aren't drinking the amount of water they should be drinking. The goal is to drink half your body weight in ounces every day. And most people are below that. And especially here at altitude, that's the minimum, okay? And most people are below that. So I find a lot of dehydration up here. And so I recommend that they put a squeeze of lemon and some sea salt, some colored sea salt in their water. So the sea salt actually helps them assimilate the water. So I just love nature. It's so beautiful. So I could go on and on about ingredients, and I probably will. I'll tap in back with you when I find another food sleuth experience that you might be interested in. But for the meantime, get off those vegetable oils, build your gut back up, okay? And I'm pretty sure that if you do that, and at some point you'll somehow get the vegetable oils back in your diet, you will feel the effects. You'll feel sluggish, you'll have indigestion, you'll be tired, and you won't have the energy that you had. Trust me, I know. This has happened to me plenty of times, and it happens to basically every person I work with, because everyone is going to test the waters. You want to see if you can eat the foods you used to be able to eat. And to a large degree, you should be able to once you replenish and restore your gut. However, when you're putting caustic chemicals and genetically modified foods and pesticides and herbicides and fungicides, when you're putting that stuff in your body, it has a detrimental effect. The only reason why you can't feel it right now is because you likely have poor health and your digestive system is completely fried and you have no idea. So I would just tell you to get off of them for a little while, test the water at some point and see how you feel, and then you'll know you've come a long way in your digestive health. Now, if you are turning your nose up at this conversation, because I know how many people are like, oh God, here she goes again, and you're kind of arguing with me in your head, that could be an indication you have some addiction to some foods, or you have a subconscious pattern of self-sabotage where you are just totally unable or unwilling to let go of some of the things that are causing you harm. And so this is holding you back from your greatest health. And if this is you, it's time that you register for my Ignite Your Life workshop. Excuse me. This is will be held January 12th here in our little retreat style home. I'm so excited. There's only 8 women who will get to do this with me, and each woman will have a tremendous breakthrough. So if you're ready to let go of the self-sabotage, you're ready to step into your greatest health, you're ready to step into your brilliance, apply today. Just go to my website and apply. It's called Ignite Your Life Workshop. I hope to see you there. And whatever you do, turn your soul on. Thank you for tuning in to another awesome episode of Turn Your Soul On Radio. If you're enjoying the show and it's making a difference in your life, I'd be super grateful if you'd head on over to iTunes and leave a heartfelt review, which tremendously helps the growth of the show. Feel free to leave any suggestions or questions in your review, or you can shoot us an email at admin@drbrandyvictory.com. I also would like to invite you to become a deeper part of the Turn Your Soul On Radio community, which you can do by joining our private Facebook group, Turn Your Soul On. I'll leave a link in the show notes for you. Thank you so much for being here today, and I'll talk to you next time. Have a fantastic day.
This podcast is for information purposes only. Dr. Brandy Victory is not a medical doctor, and the views and statements expressed on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Dr. Brandy Victory and the producers, disclaim responsibility from any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.